the Bleed is a program that was implemented for mass bleed injuries, for the bystanders to help a mass bleed injury. So we talk about tourniquet use, we talk about wound packing and pressure holding. Like I said, this is for bystanders. This is not just for medical personnel, EMTs, anything like that. It's for everyone. So without further ado, like I said, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to do my best to answer these few questions and maybe more. Someone in the front row, holler at me if I don't answer this, okay? And the list goes on and on and on, right? Many of these news clips, I didn't have to say anything there, many of these clips over the past years I think we're probably a little bit familiar with. Several of them are actually a little more local to us. How many remember, I think it was the pileup, I think it said there, pileup on 78 not too long ago. What about the, I don't know if I had it on here or not, but the Amtrak accident that happened out towards Philadelphia? These are really close to home. And these are the things that we tend to get very emotional about. We see it on the news. It's hitting close to home. It's hurtful. We see people who are affected and who have lost lives that shouldn't have. And we tend to get a little hyped up about those things. I don't know if I have a pointer on here or not. That's okay. So the first 3 bullet points there, mass casualty incidents, stabbings, shootings, terrorist attacks, bombings, and also natural disasters. Those are the things that we see in the headlines and we see most often. But I'll be quite honest, the home injuries, motor vehicle crashes, and all the recreational things that we have going on and workplace incidents are very common. They don't make the headlines because sometimes they don't happen in mass quantities. But those are all injuries, all areas where we see massive bleed injuries. Who here, just yell it out, who here knows, how long does it take with a massive laceration or hitting a major artery, how long does it take to bleed out? Very good. I think a couple people have had this class. That's excellent. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes depending on what that injury is and the location. So having that said, I think that this is starting, without me even telling you a little bit more about this, this is starting to make sense why it's important to have Stop the Bleed training. In 3 minutes, how often our EMS crews are great, and I'm so thankful for them, but a lot of times they're not on scene in 3 minutes, right? Particularly in rural Pennsylvania, there's several areas in Pennsylvania. It could be 15, 20 minutes, and I'm sure even longer, before someone who's been majorly injured. I always think at this point of a lot of our farmers, major injuries, and it really doesn't take that long. So, Stop the Bleed. I think I've given you an idea. It's a formal training on how to use tourniquets, wound packing, and how to hold pressure. I've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of venues, a lot of people in more public areas. I know following Chief Harvey was kind of hard. He was a really funny guy. So, but there's a lot of things that we can do precautionary. I mean, we hope and we pray that nothing like this ever happens to us in our backyards, right, in our houses of worship, and we hope that it doesn't happen while we're out on our riding mowers and those things. But if there's something that you can do, this is something that we can do preventatively to give ourselves the education, our families, our friends, and our congregations the education to know what to do in that situation. How many people remember, I think the date, if I can get it specifically, I think it was December 14th, 2012, there was a mass casualty incident up in Newton, Connecticut, formerly known as, yes, I think we're getting a lot of nods, formerly known as the Newton or the Sandy Hook incident. Once Sandy Hook happened, a group of medical providers, members from our American College of Surgeons, along with members of our military and also our police officers and EMS, EMTs, got together and put together this formalized program known as Stop the Bleed. So quite a group to put together this program. We've recognized we have CPR classes, right? We have a lot of first aid and first responder classes, but nothing really specific to such a life-saving skill. So they got together, put this program together. It was started being disseminated about a year and a half ago, we'll say, and has really taken off. So having that said too, I think I'm mentioning this going a roundabout way, but some of the things that we can do in our houses of worship is really having kits on board. I think I brought with me a small kit today. Inside a kit about this size is 2 bleed control kits with the skills learned, 2 kits to save 2 lives. It's a rather small thing to purchase in your offices or in your churches. Rather easy thing to do. This kit here cost about $62, between $60 and $65 anyways, with 2 in it. Some cases will actually fit within your AED kits. And that's really the vision. We're finding that if we can put the supplies out there over time, once everyone's getting the education on how to use them, we will have that accessible to ourselves. So this is one example. They also have kits for on the walls if you want a larger one. I know for those who are close to here, down in Strawberry Square, I saw the first one placed in a public area. Strawberry Square, there's a fitness center down there. They have one on the wall. So that's the idea, is over time we're hoping that each school, each church, each large venue area is going to equip themselves with these kits, and then in time more and more people are going to have the training to be able to know what to do in that situation. I'm trying to go through quickly, so I apologize. But if you're interested yourselves in getting this training, or you have large groups of people who are interested in having the training itself is about a 90-minute program, give and take, depending on the size of your group. If we have a very small group, we can do it a little bit less time, but we like to say about 90 minutes. You can certainly reach out. You can reach out to me if you have questions. I'm going to be completely honest with you. With the recent events and things seem to be kind of snowballing, so there's several calls right now. You're welcome to call myself. The phone number that was listed, 531-LION. We can have, if you have questions, I can certainly answer the questions you have. We can look at doing programs, but probably easier for many people is relying on this website that I have listed up here. www.bleedingcontrol.org has even more information about the program itself. And also on that website is a list of all the persons. This is a national initiative, so it's going to list on that website everyone who's offering a class. You can break it down. I think you can plug in Pennsylvania, you can plug in Hershey and your cities. We have trained at our hospital. We have really taken this to heart and trying to done our best. We've been working with our local police officers. We also have trained our police cadets here, since they're in our backyard. We run training 4 times a year for them. We also have a state initiative right now that is requiring all of our state troopers to have Stop the Bleed training. So, as you can imagine, I welcome your phone calls and your questions. Please do not hesitate. If you're looking at the flyer that I have posted up here, I'm going to let you know that when I left the office yesterday, there was about 15 slots left for this program. If you're going to call before Monday reaches, I'm going to take my messages one at a time. I fill names in. It is something that you have to register for. However, on the website, while we don't have our next classes posted yet, in the next week or two, there will be a handful of other classes. So please let me know what I can do to answer those questions. If you have a large enough group, we would love to also come to you guys depending on what that may or may not look like. So I have up here some of the, I know there's a few people in the room that's had the training probably laughing at this because I always call this the ham leg for obvious reasons, or a bologna leg. But this is one of the models that we use. In the training itself, we go through about 40, 45 minutes of, I hate to say the word lecture, but lecture, PowerPoint, we learn what injuries we can help as a bystander, and then the other portion is actually practicing with the CAT tourniquets that we use. A CAT tourniquet, this is a practice one, that's why it's blue, and also some hemostatic gauze. So we talk a whole lot about that to make you comfortable knowing what you can do. All right, so having that said, I'm going to take just a few questions since I have to leave here right after. Is there any dire question we have? I think there's one a couple rows back, yes. That's a great question. I usually try to mention this. The training at this point is free, and hopefully, inevitably, it'll be free. So there's no cost to have the training. The only thing that we ask is if you have a large group and you want us to come to you, we need a place to put a PowerPoint and some table and chairs. Pretty simple. Thank you. One more question here. Great question. See, you're hitting on the things that I wanted to mention. So we're very central. This is a national initiative, and also several programs are across the state. We will travel, give and take, depending on schedules and whatnot, kind of at a radius about 40, 45 miles. I will suggest, though, a lot of our partner hospitals, our level 1 trauma centers, are also rolling this program out. I know to the north, we have Geisinger Medical Center, who also is running the program. UPMC, running a lot of great programs out on the west side. South of us, we have Lancaster. And there might be some small subgroups that I'm not aware of as well with EMS crews. But they should be listed. And then, of course, Philadelphia and Reading also. Great question. Is there any other questions that you really want to, yeah? Yes, thank you. Again, another one. We're hitting on them, and hopefully, I know you. I got to scoot off here, but that's the last question I'll take is there opportunity to become instructors? If you have now, the ACS makes requirements on who can instruct this program, and very specific to how you do it. If you have a first responder, if you're a police officer as a first responder, apologies, security is not on the list yet, but first responders as an officer, EMT, EMS, any medical doctor, and RN at this point are eligible. And then if you're coming to one of our programs, all I ask is that you tell me on the phone so that we can kind of tack on what you need to know as far as the instructor portion. And that's a really good avenue. If you have those persons in your houses of worship who have that interest, we can certainly get those persons trained to be able to train your congregations and whatnot. So having that said, thank you for the questions, and please don't hesitate to call.